Tonight, we're going to visit London's famous Greenwich Observatory, a place which marks the meridian line, the zero line, for all time zones. It's already late as you leave your apartment. The evening's warm, with a slight breeze. The London air is full of amazing fragrances. From the refreshing smell of the River Thames lapping at its banks, as it's done for millennia, to the familiar sense of food cooking from all over the world, from the many restaurants and bars. You love this city. This is home. Home to people from all over the world. London's a surprisingly peaceful city at this time of night. You're setting out on your journey to Greenwich Observatory. A walk of some 30 minutes or so, which will take you to the very beginning of time. Your journey takes you past the Cutty Sark, one of London's most famous landmarks. A clipper ship built in 1869, which has served both as a cargo and a passenger vessel. She's one of the last surviving tea clippers whose history has made it an important part of East London's identity. Once past the Cutty Sark, it's time to enter Greenwich Park and head up the steep hill towards the observatory. As you walk, your mind travels back in time to when measuring time was far less precise than it is today. Maybe the ancients knew something we've lost. They measured time in hours, days, and months. Seconds didn't matter. They didn't experience the frenetic pace of today's lives. You feel at one with the ancients. You yearn for a simpler, slower time, where people took time to enjoy their life, their precious time on this planet. The observatory is up ahead, brightly lit amongst the trees as it waits for nightfall to begin its work. The big oak door is open. You hesitate, but decide to take a look inside. The Hall of Clocks is bathed in a warm light as you step through the door. There are official-looking people working on the clocks, making sure everything is in order for tonight's ceremony. Any moment now, president of the Royal Astronomical Society and his team will arrive to start their work. You can't see them, but you're aware they're not far away. The observatory watchman spots you. "Sorry, the president will be here shortly," he says. "You're not supposed to be here." He's about to make it very clear you must leave when a shout from behind him stops him in his tracks. "That would be me," says a boisterous voice. "I'm always late." He's not what you're expecting. Clad in a rather well-worn tweed jacket and battered hat, he appears to be from the 18th century. The man looks to be around 40 years old, with short-cropped grey hair and an unshaven chin. "This place is so drafty," he says. "Have someone fix the draft before the ceremony starts," he orders. Yes, sir, I will, but if I might, you see, it's part of keeping it in character. We've done a lot to preserve Greenwich as it was 200 years ago for this very special evening," the night watchman explains, a little nervously. Yes. All right then." The president seems satisfied with the watchman's answer. The president turns to you. "Come along. I've no time to waste. We've much work to do." He jokes as he leads you between the tall oak pillars into a grand hallway filled with hundreds of clocks. He clearly thinks you're part of the staff. You decide not to tell him that you just snuck in. "My name's Sir John Henschel, President of the Royal Astronomical Society since 1825, he explains. "I'm here because they thought I'd be the perfect person to bring this old observatory back to life. I'm rather interested in the history of time, so naturally they thought of me. Why am I telling you this? I haven't a clue." He's rambling like an excited schoolboy. You decide to just keep quiet and enjoy watching him work until you're discovered. "Yes, I've organised a very special event to take place in the Meridian Room tonight," he says, pointing at the giant clock above his head, whose pendulum swings back and forth as it measures time. "We'll be starting with a service from St. Paul's Cathedral, and then, once all are present, I'll begin my speech, which I've been practicing for a fortnight. It should be quite a turnout. Just make sure you're in the right place before the ceremony starts," he says. A red button is located under each clock face, clearly labelled "Ring for Attention." "Now, I'd better be going. You'll find my speech in the Meridian Room." He points to an ornate door at the end of the clock-filled hallway. The president disappears up some stairs, and you have the place to yourself. "I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were one of us," says the watchman apologetically. "We're expecting a large audience for tonight's ceremony, and we have no idea who's invited or not." That's fine, you say, starting to feel like you belong. I'd like to see the Meridian Room, please, you tell him. The watchman leads you through a door and down a long corridor, past many empty rooms filled with astronomical equipment. The president has things well in hand. Once attended by hundreds of scientists, this place used to be buzzing. Nowadays, there's only an occasional tour group that comes through. The watchman pauses for a moment, looking off into the distance. He faces you and says, "There was one person who came here every day, but he hasn't been seen for some time now." "Who do you mean?" you ask. "A very strange old man," says the watchman, frowning, as he continues walking down the hall. He'd be here before everyone else and make a great show of setting up his instruments. He was quite the character. We all knew him, but he's been absent for weeks now. You can't resist probing further. Did he ever talk about who invited him to Greenwich? The watchman smiles. "I don't know, sir. He never spoke with us, or anyone else really. All I know is that sometimes he would disappear for days at a time, and then one day just turn up, looking pleased as punch." "That's very strange indeed," you say, as you head towards what must be the Meridian Room. Although it appears empty when you enter, there's something definitely strange about this place. You realize you're being watched from above and look up to see a strange contraption in the middle of the roof. It's a large mechanical head with an eclipse-like crescent moon for a face, and two eyes that seem as if they can follow your every movement. You also notice how perfectly empty the room feels. It's as though nobody has set foot in there for years. Wait, what was that sound? You turn around to find yourself alone. You can hear the ticking of 100 clocks through the stillness. It's comforting, yet eerie at the same time. The watchman returns, having readied himself for the ceremony. "Where is everyone?" you ask the watchman. "The ceremony begins at midnight, sir," he responds, "so I really must be letting people in soon." He points at a clock face that reads 11:51 p.m. "What happens here at midnight?" you ask. "When the clock strikes midnight, it's time for the ceremony," says the watchman. This really didn't answer your question. You walk over to a window that faces St. Paul's Cathedral and see hundreds of people begin to gather outside on the cobblestone street leading up to the observatory. The president will be giving his speech from inside this room, but you have no idea how he'll manage an audience of this size. It seems unlikely he could even hear himself speak with all those people around. You decide to wait in the room for the president. You look out of the window and see crowds of people continuing to gather outside. Then suddenly, you hear a voice from behind you. "Hello, it's Ed. Sorry I'm late. I was hoping to snag a spot in the Meridian room, but it took me a while to get through the crowd." You turn around and face an old man wearing a white lab coat. This must be the strange scientist that the watchman mentioned earlier. The president arrives ready to deliver his speech and spots the old man. Addressing him, he says, "I don't mean to be rude, sir, but why are you here?" He doesn't answer. He just smiles. The president looks at his watch and frowns as he sees its hands pointing at 12 o'clock midnight. Suddenly, all the many clocks in the observatory begin striking midnight in unison. It's a wonderful sound. The president looks a little shaken and begins to speak. "My fellow citizens, I stand before you tonight to announce my intention to seize power as global president in perpetuity." You hear a collective gasp. "I will be the new face of world order as we forge our way into a peaceful future." The crowd is confused and begins to murmur at this unexpected announcement. Has the president of the observatory gone mad? Surely this is part of some theatrical performance. "My friends, I need to share with you a secret," the president booms. "I am not who you think I am. In reality, I am not the 40-year-old man you see before you. I am not someone dressed as Sir John Henschel from the 19th century. I am the very same. You see, back in 1825, I discovered a way not just to measure time, but to control it. The strange machine you see above you in this observatory was the key. Many of you will have heard of a mysterious scientist who comes and goes from this place. He is my accomplice, also here from another time, another century. Financed by the Rothschild dynasty, we were given unlimited funds to develop the ultimate source of wealth and power. Control over man's destiny through control of the passage of time itself. But fear not, our intentions are good. Together, we will rid the world of the bad and replace it with the better. In the distance, you hear sirens. They're getting closer, quickly. The president continues to ramble, but it's not long before the ambulances arrive at the edge of the crowd. The president is not well. His friend, John, the mysterious scientist, in reality the president's carer, pressed the red button under a large clock in the hall, summoning immediate medical help. Alas, sometimes delusions of grandeur and genius live in the same person. The president will get the help he needs. John will continue to make sure the clocks run on time, and the world will continue as it is, for better, for worse, for now. Sleep is coming. Sleep well.